Choice FM is live at 5.
But it's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
Reuben Blackwell and Express Yourself on Choice FM.
Well, good afternoon. This is Reuben Blackwell again, your host for our weekly talk show, Express Yourself, here on Choice FM, the People Station. Talking to all of our great friends in Rocky Mount and Raleigh area communities and anywhere all around. We're just so happy and excited that you took time out to listen and be with us today. Well, I have a wonderful show planned for you today. I got a fine young man here who's come to Eastern North Carolina to lead a very important institution, the Franklinton Center, Dr. Doug Wooten. We welcome you back to the East, and we say welcome home, and thank you so much for being here and Express Yourself with me and with all of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Blackwell. It's such a pleasure to be back in Eastern North Carolina to share some of the gifts and skills that God has blessed me with, and hopefully continue to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So I just want to jump right into it because,
Okay.
you know, the beautiful thing, I don't know if our listeners even know about the Franklinton Center and BRICS and the institution that you lead. Can you sort of start out by giving us a little background of the history of that hallowed land that
Yeah.
you're blessed to serve and work on every day? Can you just give us a little insight about who Franklinton Center is and tell us what BRICS is?
Yeah, so one of the things that we call Franklinton Center at BRICS, we call it a sacred space for life, a place that individuals can come and be themselves and get connected with the divine. One of the things that we're really concentrating on is being a witness for justice, equality, and liberation. Back in the 1800s, Franklinton Center, the land that we actually sit on now was actually a slave plantation. It was about 1,100 acre slave plantation that eventually a lady from New York named Julia Briggs purchased the land and bequested it to the African American community so that the African American community could better themselves through education, learning farm trades and learning different other trades that could help them be better people. As years went on, then there was a Christian college in Franklinton, North Carolina. So that's how we got the name Franklinton. And the community is Briggs because Mrs. Briggs was the one that purchased the land. And so the Christian school in Franklinton, North Carolina was a thriving school. But in the mid 1900s, the school closed because of financial resources. After the school closed, then Franklinton Christian College and Briggs Junior College came together as one, and what we call now as Franklinton Center at Briggs. One of our missions at Franklinton Center is to provide. Oh, I thought you was going to ask me a question. So
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, let me just sort of pause just for a minute because, you know, the moment you mention slavery, to ears like mine, and I'm a Black man.
Yes.
Immediately, the vestiges of, or the concept of pain and horror and all those things, that we wrap up into, our collective, memory of that oppression just comes present straight front.
Right.
And sometimes we judge the past by where we are today.
Yeah.
And I just want to pause for a minute and think about what was taking place in America and in the world at the time that land was purchased. And while I got my own personal issues about, I won't say issues, but my perspective and my bias about paternalistic moves that white people of power and wealth make assumptions about Black people, in our poverty, that our poverty was created because they made us that way.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
they created a circumstance and environment intentionally to withhold us and oppress us and suppress us.
Mhm.
And I still, however, have to thank God for people like Mrs. Briggs, who was able to overcome whatever those perceptions were of Black people as less than in her time, that she was able to purchase the land, first of all, as a white woman. I don't
Yes.
know where her husband was. I don't know what that story is. You got any backstory about who she was as a person, what motivated her to break out of the
Yeah, the only
strand of normality, the way, powerful, rich white people felt about Black people, and caused her to purchase land and then give it to Black folk to
right. Yeah.
lead?
Yeah. The only thing that I have is that he was a major philanthropist that would go and purchase and buy things and give back to the community. And she was instrumental in getting with the American Missionary Association in getting that land and helping people that were less fortunate to be a part of a more stronger development.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And so I wanted to just take a pause moment
yeah,
to process my own, sociological pain of, of seeing, what happened. But at the
yeah,
same time, I have to be thankful
right.
that there were people like her
Right.
that disrupted that whole process of oppression and said, "Hey, these are folks that helped me gain my wealth." And it's sort of amazing that she would do that at that time.
Right.
And then what I also respect is that she put the land in the hands of the people that labored there without any type of reward that came back to them.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see that you said 1,100 acres, and now is it 300 that you have now? How
We
many?
have actually about 150 acres now.
150. So, but it's amazing that we've been able to retain that
Yes.
after all these years. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so out of that 1,100 acres, from my understanding and reading some documents, is that some of the land of that 1,100 acres were given to the farmers that were in the community that went to brick school, so that they would be able to establish their own
Hmm.
on who they were. And so we're down to 150 acres, and our goal is to continue to maintain those 150 acres so that we can be that life-giving space for individuals. But I did want to say, Reuben, when we do talk about slavery, yes, it does stir something up inside of all of us that are people of color, especially African Americans, because we constantly look back at what was done to our people and how we were oppressed and how we were kept and how our minds were just mangled with thoughts that they put in our mind. That's one of the reasons that we have chosen the Sankofa bird as our emblem. Uh,
Hmm.
when we look at the Sankofa bird, and for those that may be viewing, I want to show the
Yes.
Sankofa bird right here is a precious egg that the Sankofa is holding with a beak.
Hmm.
And if you notice closely, the feet of the Sankofa bird is pushing forward. So what we have here is the precious egg that we
Hmm.
never forget, the birth of who we are, the birth of where we're going, and
Hmm.
the feet of where we're going. So we're never going to forget where we have come from, but we're pressing on towards the things that are best for our people. And we're not going to Franklinton Center is going to stand on the fact that we are not less than anybody. We are
Hmm.
equal, and we want everyone else to be equal with us.
So that's so powerful. That's so powerful. I hope everyone really was able to embrace it. And it's so wonderful being able to see you and see that bird. If so, for my radio listeners, this dude got this sharp light blue Carolina blue jacket on
Well, be careful
with,
about Carolina blue. It's just on sale. The region is Carolina blue.
well,
Just
okay,
kidding
that's
with
fine.
you. Just
But you know
kidding.
that, but that's my alma mater. So today I'm happy about it. So, but I'm just gonna say that I love how you've incorporated traditional African, especially West African imagery
Yeah.
into the presentation, the branding of who you are, and how to move forward. Tell us about what actually took place at Bricks. It's my understanding that really the educational leaders in Rocky Mount in Eastern North Carolina were trained at Bricks, and some of the first teachers that taught in the Rocky Mount public school system, and it was, of course, segregated at that time, that actually taught at Booker T. Washington High School, where OIC is headquartered today, were actually trained at Bricks. One of the founders of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority was an instructor at Bricks, and later became an instructor here at Booker T. Washington, Anna Easter Brown, and many other notable folks. So can you just tell us a little bit about, you know, what it took, if you know it? I know you're new in your position,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the convergence of this Black intellectual uh, group of folk that came together and said, we're going to talk intellect, but we're also going to talk how to live. So farming was very important, wasn't it?
Yes.
You know,
Farming.
it wasn't just about reading and writing, but it was also about building skills that built wealth. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the school itself, from my understanding and reading and looking at some old videos, is that the school was a type of place that would teach people how to become professionals. From my understanding also is that the brick school itself, the bricks college itself, was built with the model of I think Howard University. And
Mm.
so that's what the campus looked like. There were actually four teachers' cottage that were on the property where the actual teachers stayed. Uh, there were uh, there were two or three dormitories that was on the property where students stayed. They would have courses in how to conduct themselves in an outside setting, such as going to different functions and things of that nature. There was also many people that graduated from that brick school that held teachers' degrees. So it was kind of almost like a teacher's college that people would come and learn how to teach. And then, of course, the farming and also the building and things of that nature. So it was a school that was not just for anybody that's elite, but it was for anybody that was Black. Uh,
You know what? That's a merger of Booker T. Washington and W.E. Du Bois,
yes,
wasn't it?
yeah,
So oftentimes, there was this debate, between those two giants, about, what do Black people need to do and how do
uh,
they need to be. But it seems to me that you had a convergence of both of those perspectives, and or they did. I know you represent all of them, but of course you're not like 150 years old today, but that might be me. But
yeah,
but that's really brilliant. And then to know that those teachers came out of it, they were training other teachers. So that's almost like a predecessor to Winston-Salem Teachers College,
yes,
Elizabeth City
yeah,
Teachers College,
yeah,
North Carolina Central, was a teachers college. All of these colleges that were popping up in the South,
mm,
Bricks was also a feeder
right,
for systems, for public education systems. That's really powerful to
yeah,
understand.
yes, awesome, yeah, yes, sir.
So how do you roll that history, that legacy forward, how does that influence what your course delivery is today?
Yeah, so the way that we try to allow that to continue to live is we try to provide Franklinton Center at Bricks as a nurturing home,
Mm-hmm.
not just to the local individuals here in our Edgecombe, Nash, and Halifax County, but actually throughout the world. That is one of our missions, and our vision is to manifest a world where systematic oppression doesn't exist, and that we try to realize and understand the divinity in all individuals that come upon our campus, regardless of their race, regardless of their identity, or regardless of the color of their skin. We realize the person as the divinity in the person. Uh, we are proud of the fact, even though that word slavery always kind of rattles something on the inside of us, but we're proud of the fact that what once was a slavery plantation is now an educational institution that helps people to continue to move forward with that precious egg that's in their being, to move forward to what is next in their lives. And we want to continue to make that a strong input for our community, and we focusing in on our three counties that surround us, or the two counties that surround us, and we want to really be very intentional in supporting our community and the people in our community.
That's really incredible. So you have a spiritual heritage as well,
Yeah.
at Bricks and at Franklinton Center at Bricks. And so how do you work that through in these contemporary times that we exist? Do you work through church organizations or individual churches? Because at one point, this whole concept of Black liberation theology
Mhm.
was rejected by many Black theologians themselves, because whatever their own internalized oppression was.
Right.
But today, and maybe that's something we can talk about, I find that there is very little conversation in many pulpits about social activism or social justice. Um, Seems that there's been less emphasis placed on, you know, dealing with, the actual fact that racism exists, and puts all of our faith and confidence in God, which, I'm a Christian and I'm a believer in that. And I also believe that we have responsibility, as you say, to tap into the God inside of us and change what we are
Yeah.
dealing with today. If you deal with it, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I will, Ruben, and I'm kind of glad you brought that point up, because one of the things that I've seen on this journey called life, and having a lot of knocks and bangs in myself, and even faced a lot of racism towards me, is that we have gotten complacent. And when I say we, I'm talking about our Black community. Our
Hmm.
Black community has begun to get some things that we were not able to get 20 and 30 years ago. So we get complacent, and we're satisfied with the little nest that we have. And
Mm.
and we don't want to upset, as they say, upset the apple cart, because of that slavery issue, and we're so afraid that somebody's going to take our apple cart from us. So therefore, we're not allowed voice in the community to say that, even though uh, we we feel free, we're still in bondage. We're still under the thumb of those that are oppressing us. And so a lot of people are just happy the way it is. We've seen movies where back that were filmed where it said, don't say anything because somebody may take away what we have. And I think it's time that we stop having that mentality, stop being complacent, and stop allowing the system that we already know that is not that that does not favor people of color like us to move forward. They give a little bit, but then they take away a whole lot. So I think we are definitely living in a time where we need to stand up to who we are. We need to own who we are, and we need to represent and get everybody else on board. A lot of people, black people of color, always get criticized for standing up for what's
Mm,
right, but yet and still they want to benefit from
mm.
all that comes along. So
Oh, you better well, just wait a minute. Don't you move another moment past that. We need to let that marinate for a minute. Okay. So are you saying to me, I think you're saying it, that we want the benefits of civil rights and the advocacy and all that that can bring to us, but we don't want to pay the price,
right,
the personal price of sacrifice and discomfort and creating discomfort for people who do benefit from racist institutions and policies
yes,
and perspectives. We're more interested in making people comfortable with us because I love what you said. We're trying to protect our little egg.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
When the
yeah,
fact they'll come take your egg, crack it, and make their own cake with your egg
go ahead.
that you can't eat.
That you cannot eat. Yeah, and,
Okay, go
and then
ahead, talk about it.
okay, and then again, what they would do is they would make you believe that the new egg they're going to give you is better than the old egg. And so now you don't have the egg that you've invested in. You can't eat the cake. So yeah, we're living in a time, and we're getting ready to go to commercial break in a few minutes, but one of these things that an individual says make something great again. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, well, okay, I'll let you go there.
No, 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 no. We're gonna get all into that. I was trying to get to the niceties because when we come back from the break, we still got a few minutes.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk all about that. So I'm just really thankful that we got a man who is educated and well versed in the area of education, but in some other areas too, that also is centered spiritually and is not afraid to stand up, say what's right and what's wrong.
Well,
So,
I want to say this, first of all, I appreciate all those kind words that you said, but I certainly just thank the divinity inside of me and the divinity that has surrounded me to make me who I am today. I often ask God, why me? Why do you have me in this, and why are
mm-hmm.
you putting me in these places? And that small, still voice of God always speaks to me and says, because I can use you. And I surrendered myself to be used by God to do what God wants to happen. I do believe that things that do happen are for a reason, and God has a purpose and a plan for everything. We have to be patient and wait for the outcome to happen. It's not by a mistake that you and I have met. It's not by a mistake that we're sharing our part of our story and journey with those that are listening, because something is going to be said in our conversation that's gonna encourage someone to say, I can pick up the mantle and I can carry it forth. So, but thank
Thank
you for those
a-
kind words.
absolutely really excited to talk with you, Dr. Doug Wooten, who is the CEO of the Franklinton Center at Bricks, right here in Eastern North Carolina, Halifax and Edgecombe County. I think it's sort of co-located.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to come back in a few more minutes and talk with him much more with Express Yourself. And I'm Reuben Blackwell. Let's take a break. Let's pay some bills, and we'll be right back with you. More talk. Don't go anywhere. Just wait for it. Okay, wait for it. It's about to come.
Is live at 5.
But it's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
Reuben Blackwell and Express Yourself on Choice FM.
Well, I'm back, and we're back. This is Reuben Blackwell with Express Yourself. I have an engaging and brilliant guest today, Dr. Doug Wooten, who's the new CEO of the Franklinton Center at Bricks, right here in Eastern North Carolina. He's given us some great historical perspective and insight about the phenomenal institution that is there, that he leads 150 acres of beautiful farmland that was bequeathed to Black people in the 1800s after slavery was over, to become a center point, a nexus of learning and education and entrepreneurship for and towards the Black community, and has been sustained all these years and still in business, and so beautiful. Dr. Wooten, Doug, will you just sort of tell us a little bit about the physical facility that you have today? I wish we had pictures to show. Maybe one day we can do a live show from the campus and do a walkthrough, just sort of take my cell phone around and just show everybody how beautiful it is. What do you do there today? What are you doing? What kind of campus do you have?
So we have about 7 buildings on campus. We have 3 buildings that we consider historic buildings that we are in the process of hopefully bringing them to a state that that can be gone inside by visitors that visit the campus. One of those buildings is the teacher's cottage, the actual cottage that was built when it was Bricks Junior College. The other is the boarding house. The boarding house is a house where the first principal of the school lived. He lived there on campus. The other is the model schoolhouse. It's not a Rosenwald school. We were hoping that it would, but it is a older building. And actually, there's some people that are still living in the community that actually went to that school.
Wow.
That are still living. And then, of course, we have a cafeteria on site where for guests that comes to stay, they're able to get lunch, dinner, snacks, meals. And then we have what we call Hospitality 2. That's the newest building on the property. It was built in 1972, and it houses hotel-style rooms. So if anybody wants overnight accommodations, and it has a huge conference room that can be rented out to those that want to have a retreat or conference there. And then we have the administrative building. Well, we have another Hospitality 1, which is it's a dormitory style where a lot of our campers use that come for summer camps and things of that nature. And that was at one time was the actual dormitory for the students. And then we have the administrative building. That is the oldest building, the white building on campus. That's the oldest one. And that's where the auditorium is at. And that's where a lot of events for Brick School Junior College was held in that. And it's not standing now, but there was right in the center between the cafeteria and the administrative building. It just left me, but it was the chapel.
Yeah.
The chapel was there, and I'm hoping that we can get enough money to bring a replica of that chapel back to life on our campus. Because one of the interesting things about it is that music was very instrumental and prominent on the school campus. And actually, you were talking about Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington's grandson actually played in that chapel.
Wow.
So it's probably the likelihood of Booker T. Washington visiting our campus back in the 1800s. The likelihood of that happening is real. So we want to highlight that. So we're proud of all of our buildings, and we are doing all the work that we can to keep them still alive, with the hopes of bringing and rebuilding some replicas of what was burned down.
Well, that's so very powerful. And sometimes we get so familiar with our environment and things around us that we have a tendency to not really appreciate the powerful history that's right there at our fingertips. So I'm really encouraging everyone that's listening to me and listening to us today to take your time and go out and visit on that campus. And so I'm assuming Doug, you're also open for groups to come and rent out your facility and do some things. Do you have any water out there? You near a river or pond or anything on your campus or?
Yeah, well, actually, our campus borders, I think it's Fishing Creek. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's actually if you go back, there's actually a little campsite that's been built back there, and it's a really nice, serene spot to go to. But yeah, we rent our facility out for retreats, social justices, conferences, any kind of conference that anyone would like to have. A lot of families come out for family reunions. We are just in the process of opening up our pool. The pool will be open in next week.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
so we're going to open that, and hopefully that we can partner with our communities and allow our kids to come and refresh themselves in the pool at no cost to our children. Uh, it's just something that we want to do for our community. But as you say, Reuben, we need everyone's help. We need your help. We need our listeners' help to come out and support. And I invite you at any time to come on the campus of Franklinton Center at Bricks, because without a doubt, once you show up and once you walk these hallowed grounds at Franklinton Center at Bricks, your life will begin a transformation. And I can
Mm.
say that with confidence because it happened to me back in the 60s when I was a little boy. It was my first time ever coming to Bricks, North Carolina. And my life started on a different journey from that point on. So.
Wow. Okay, so we can't leave that just there. So give me about a 3 minute overview of Doug Wooten and what happened to him to shift him into the person that you have grown to be and become, and now that you've come home.
Yeah.
What happened? What
So,
happened?
so I grew up in a little bit further east of Rocky Mountain, a little place that's called Maysville, North Carolina, down near the beach, and we were part of the church there, basically a family church, like most small churches were in the 60s. And it was always talked in the church about Franklinton Center, Franklinton Center. And so Franklinton Center has this annual Franklinton Center Day, which is the first Saturday in the month of August, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm inviting everybody to come out then.
Yeah. Checking
And
my
so,
calendar right now. Keep
yes,
talking.
we love for you to be there. And so our church group partnered with several other churches in the community, and they rented a bus, and they got all the youth in the community to come, and we rode. It was about a 2 hour ride on the bus. We were excited just to be on a Trailways bus. And when we got there, we came down this long, seemed like forever path with all these beautiful trees just shading
Mhm.
the driveway. And when we got there, there were kids in the pool playing. There were people all over the place. They were cooking food. It was just a great, big, huge family reunion. Um, and once I got there, I was a shy little kid anyway. Uh, but it was something. It was something about how that breeze was blowing through the trees and the shade. And soon after that, after we got back, I never forgot that moment of being at Franklinton Center. And one of the things that I say sometimes is that that breeze that was blowing in the trees was the spirit, that divine spirit that was entering into us. And my life changed, and actually entered into the ministry, and preached and pastored several churches throughout the United States, and even to being a conference minister over Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. Beautiful, beautiful part of God's country. And then God calls me back and wants me and decided for me to leave Franklinton Center to the next. And so we're working on the next of what God wants it to be.
Okay. And you are affiliated with the United Church of Christ, is that right?
Yes, yes. Our church, we joined the United Church of Christ in 1957. That's the year that the United Church of Christ was birthed. And over the years, the United Church of Christ has struggled with a lot of things because the United Church of Christ stood up for issues where other people would not stand
Mhm.
up. And so we get a lot of hits because a lot of people believe that we should have not stood up for some things. But we believe that we are a uniting church, that we are a united church and a uniting church, where regardless of where an individual is on their particular journey of life, they're welcome to be a part of the United Church of Christ because we believe that God has power, that God has healing power, God has transforming power. And so we believe that the message that Jesus preached and the message that Jesus preached is all about love. And we should love our neighbors, even though they may not look like us, act like us, talk like us, they're still one of God's children, and we all love them.
Well, I had the privilege of hearing Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright at Franklinton Center.
Yes.
And when I heard he was going to be there, I rushed over. Wasn't invited by nobody. I just barged my way in because I wanted to hear the man that mentored Senator Barack Obama
Yes.
and served as his pastor when he was first inaugurated, or when he was inaugurated in his first term.
Yeah.
But then, because of the power that he became, I'm not going to say excommunicated, but President Obama had to drop him, as I don't know any other nice way to say it,
Yeah.
as his pastor because of uh, topics that he openly supported related to Black liberation, related to Black wealth creation, related to what the American political system has done to Black communities. But he had to separate himself from Dr. Wright, just what you just stated. You know, a price was paid by Dr. Wright for Barack Obama to be who he was. And when he got to a position of power, he found that he could not operate within his power really fully as a Black man. I'm going to just go ahead on and say it.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so actually, we may have bumped heads there because I was there when Jeremiah was there, and actually I talked with Jeremiah about that. I asked him a few questions, and he couldn't give me in detail about the whole
Mm-hmm.
entire situation. But that goes back to our previous conversation, how we get complacent, and I am so proud of the fact that Jeremiah did not bow down to that. He still
He
stood
did not.
his social justice issues. He still stood on his Black liberation issues. And a lot of people probably would have tapped into the fame of being the pastor of the president of the United States and backed down, but Jeremiah stood firm. And that is one thing that the United Church of Christ embodies in us, is to stand firm on our beliefs about who we are and what our position of life is. We stand on great things. We stand on things that can change this world and change individuals in this world. And that's one of the things that I love about the United Church of Christ. Yes, we have had some bad publicity that has come along with it, but that happens when you're standing on what's right and when you're standing firm on your faith. Sometimes you are criticized, but just keep the faith and God will deliver.
Well, you know, you also have, and I'm trying to look up this young man's name, but he is going viral. Do you know he's a pastor within?
Otis Moss.
Yes,
I
tell
know.
us about him. Okay, now
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to give me an inside track. I need him on this show one day. Will you help me? Will you help me get to him? Tell us about this young man.
Yeah, so I think I could probably help you get to him. I don't know him personally. I've met him several times.
Okay.
Otis Moss is phenomenal. Otis Moss, his father was phenomenal. Otis Moss Jr., I think he's the third.
Mhm.
But both of them are phenomenal preachers, and they're phenomenal leaders in our Black community. He has such great wisdom. He is a very, very smart man. He has surrounded himself by people that are like-minded, such as him. And yes, he is going viral. And I'm sure that many of you probably have heard the latest that he put on, that the something about the Black vote is on the ballot this year.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go and say what he said, especially when it comes to this America Great Again. He questioned people to think, and this is what I really love. What was whomever that's made this statement? What
Donald Trump, I said it. You didn't say it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what are you talking
And
about?
Mark Robinson. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I said it. You didn't say it.
Yeah. What about again? Was it before I was born? Was it before black people could vote? Was it before women could vote? What subliminal message is Donald Trump saying when he say he want to make America great again? America is just is greater than it's ever been, and it's still got a long way to go to continue to be greater. And I just don't, I want our listening audience and our community, don't be bamboozled in believing that we're not already great. But back to Otis Moss. I'm sorry, you just touched on
No. And that's the point. Because I'm saying to you, at least the little vignette or whatever, the TikTok or whatever it was that I saw on social media or YouTube, was when he was just sort of breaking down
Yes.
in a very understandable manner that wasn't churchy.
Yeah.
It was just straight up truth. And to me, that's the kind of church that's missing in our society, in our culture, in our Black lives. And I love what he said, that we got to talk about the Black church,
Yes.
as a powerful vehicle to move forward society. And in many spaces and places, the Black church has become a fundraising opportunity and an appeal for social mobility, upward social mobility, and has lost the power
Yeah.
that shape generations and opportunities for the future. Am I off base? Am I
No, I
am I
think
jaded in my perspective? Can
no.
you help me round out?
Yeah, I think what is happening in the Black church has lost its power and influence into the Black community. And one of the reasons that we've lost our power and our influence is because we need, and I just had this conversation today with my board of directors. We're still trying to do church the way we did church in the 60s.
Mm,
And because our community and our is different than it was in community, and we are not facing the same struggles that we were in the community, that the church has lost who we are. And I say this a lot of times that, and I say it kind of jokingly and funny. What we're doing, basically is we've taken the church, like, as this old saying go, we putting lipstick on a pig, but it's still a
hmm
pig. And so,
hmm
what we're trying to do also is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. This is 2024, and we have to reimagine the church. That is one of the things that has made Otis Moss a successful pastor at Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago, Illinois, is because he's able to identify with many different generations. And when you're able to identify with those generations will begin to identify. And I still believe a lot of our struggles that we did have were empowered by the Black church, and we need.
Yes. And that speaks back to that Black liberation theology that Franklinton Center was birthed out of, that we use all the resources available to us to move us forward. We face oppression, we face the hard thing with the hope that we're not facing it alone, that there is a greater and a divine power that moves us forward. But what I love, Doug and Dr. Wooten, about your history, but what I love even more about your personality, the present today, is that you are inculcating all of that. You're wrapping it up, the package, the gift that you've been given of the history, the anointing that's been left there for you, but you want to put it in the contemporary package and bring us all into it. So this is what I heard,
Yeah.
is that you're open for business. what I
Yes.
heard is that you are inviting people of all hues and backgrounds to come walk the grounds where slaves once worked, and then they had the opportunity, once freedom was established, to regain their dignity, use their intellect as well as their physical prowess, and build and create something that's lasted for 100 years.
Yes.
And I see today that you're trying to take us forward to the future. Just give us a quick little shot, about a minute, of what's to come, and then I would like to ask you to share your information so people can follow up with you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I do want to say this is that, first of all, as we begin to move forward, we don't need to, the old saying is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are some good political and government things that we need as we move forward. We just need to be able to identify those that are going to support our effort and our cause that we have at Franklinton Center or anywhere else, because there's a lot of resources that are out there for us. We just need to learn how to tap into those resources and use those resources that will build our community. Franklinton Center at Bricks is going to continue to stand on social justice issues. We are going to be there for you if you are standing in the gap between the now and the next. We are there to help you move into the next, because I believe that we cannot go forward without remembering what was happening in that gap, and continue to build on what's already there. We have a great facility, and we're just excited about the fact that we're there, not by my might. I'm not there by my might, but I'm there because God had called me there, and to move into an area that's going to be productive for our community and surrounding.
Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate you. And how can people get in touch with you?
So we're located at 281 Bricks Lane. It's right off of 301 North. You'll see the signs coming down 301 right after you get out of Whitaker's on the left-hand side. If you're coming out of Enfield, it's on the right-hand side. It is a place that is there. You can certainly give me a call. I'd be more than happy to give you a private tour of the facility and give you a little bit more history that I was not able to give you with. I would love for you to be with us on August the 3rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., where we celebrate Franklinton Center at Bricks, a place that we continue to call a sacred space for life. We are introducing, so those that are listening will be the first to hear this. We're introducing this campaign that we call Friends of Franklinton Center. We invite you to come and join, to be a friend of Franklinton Center and reap the benefits that will come with being a friend. And the biggest thing about becoming a friend of Franklinton Center, you can go out anywhere in this world and brag about the fact that you are a friend of Franklinton Center. And you can also even say that you're a friend of Doug Wooten.
All right.
I'm blessed there, Reuben.
All right. That's worth the check right there,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Doug, for being my guest today and for having great conversation. Thank you so much to all of our listeners for tuning in and joining us in this conversation with Dr. Doug Wooten, who's the CEO of the Franklinton Center at Bricks, a historic educational facility that's changed the face of Eastern North Carolina and is there now. And I love what you say, to fill in the gap between the now and the next.
Yes.
So this is Reuben Blackwell signing off on our weekly talk show, Express Yourself, with Choice FM 92.1, the People Station. God bless you. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Reuben. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Choice FM is live at 5.
But it's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
Reuben Blackwell and Express Yourself on Choice FM.